Hello everyone. Today we are discussing with one of my friend named Amrut. He is working as a technical architect in Robert Bosch. He is having an experience of around 12 plus years in embedded systems. He also has taken interviews of around 100 plus candidates for various project requirements for Robert Bosch. We'll discuss with him. We'll come to know about what are the prerequisites for this career and what all are the job opportunities in this career. Let's start the session. Hello, Amrut.
Hello, Adesh.
Okay. Amrut, you are an automotive engineer and you have experience of around 12 plus years in embedded systems, and you are a technical architect in Bosch. So please tell us something about what is automotive engineer and what is your role in your company. Please tell us about embedded systems.
Okay. Currently, I'm working in Robert Bosch. So basically, in automotive industry, the emerging technologies like we are now moving from conventional combustion engines to electrical vehicle. So there is a new trend is coming electrical vehicle. So I'm currently worked on this part to make a car not completely electrical, but something we call as mild hybrid. So in the mild hybrid concept is that it will run both as well as the natural resources like gasoline or petrol, or one more is the battery. So that is the project I have worked here. So coming to the skills, basically it starts with all electronics and communication engineering. Okay, most of the subjects what we have studied it, everything will be touched upon. So in the programming language front, it is a C programming, Python. Okay, in terms of hardware side, we need a hardware knowledge also, and embedded systems, microcontroller, microprocessor. And since in automotive, we follow a particular architecture that is called as AUTOSAR. So that is also required for the automotive engineer.
Okay. So which technology or tools and language are a must for automotive embedded career?
Yeah, first thing is like we will the basic skills. Like if I'm talking with respect to embedded software development, because in automotive there will be many different domains will come in that under umbrella. So my focus is only on embedded systems. So here the basic programming skills like C programming is must, and the Python script will be added advantage because sometime we have to do unit testing also. Coming to the hardware part, we should know about the microcontrollers, microprocessor, and a little bit of real-time operating systems. And we have something, like we have architecture in AUTOSAR, that is we call as AUTOSAR architecture. So that knowledge is also helpful. But for fresher point of view, the basic skills we call as vanilla skills like C programming, microcontroller, microprocessor, knowing of a real-time operating system, how interrupt works, and also the basic mathematics also is important, like how we use this Laplace transform, so ADC. These are all things it will be touched upon in the embedded system. I would say that whatever you see in the labs and everything, it will be practically used in the automotive embedded. It's a very nice field to be structured upon.
Okay, so it means that you are in core itself. In core, you belong to electronics background and you are into core domain itself, like embedded.
Yeah, actually, for electronics and communication engineering, so we say there are two core domains. Okay, one is the VLSI, that is the hardware side. Another one is the embedded side. So VLSI is basically too much hardware side, but if you in embedded system, there is a chance that you have to understand both software as well as hardware, and it is in a core subject what we have studied from 5th to 8th subject. All these things are matters. Like today I will use this torque equation from physics, mathematics. So all these things are required for the our project. So I can say that I can touch upon. I can read all the books. That is the advantage of embedded system, that we are just feeling that we are still in the lab and we are seeing this oscilloscope, multimeter. Yeah, it was very privileged to be in this domain. I feel that it was great learning. yeah, wish everybody will join those
Okay.
domains. Yeah.
And one more thing, you said like AutoSAR. What is AutoSAR in simple term, and why that is important?
Okay. Yeah, if you take a vehicle, okay, a car, if you take here, so in the car, every feature is controlled by ECU. ECU is nothing but electronic control unit. Okay. Let's say when you switch on the wiper control in the car, okay, there is a one ECU which is controlling. When you switch on the sunroof, there is an ECU is working. Even airbag and all powertrain, everything will be controlled by ECU. So what happens, right? The OEMs, it is nothing but original equipment manufacturer like a Ford, Tata. So they can't make all these product by themselves. What they will do, they will outsource this to different service-based companies. Okay, Bosch is one of the leading automotive industry. So they will just outsource the thing. Okay. So, but what is a problem? Okay, every technology will come with, they will address one pain point. So when they are doing collaboration, right, there are many issues are come into picture, and they are facing many issues like integration issues. It is just like, right, let's say I'm a proud Kannadiga, I know only Kannada language, and there is a one guy is there who only knows Telugu language. Okay. But we are working in on project, but we need to communicate. We don't have a common language. Okay. At that time, what is required? An English language is required to communicate. Just an example. So in the car domain, we need they decided that there are a lot of problem while doing integration. Okay, that's why they have combined. They made on collaboration that we need to cooperate on the standards. We need to cooperate on certain things so that it will be helpful for our integration activities. So that is how the AutoSAR is evolved. The basic idea is to cooperation on the standards. Okay, what it means is that for software point of view, when I write in a function, okay, that function should be standardized. Okay, when I write a function, the function name, the input and output should be standardized, so that every company will follow that. Okay, because of this, there is a smooth integration will happen. Okay.
Okay.
So in one more way, we can explain AutoSAR is like just like Anna Sambar. Okay. See, just in Anna Sambar, right? So let's say in earlier days, no, we don't have much choices, but we enjoy the life. Earlier, we have only Anna Sambar. Let's say I'm eating Anna Sambar. Suddenly, suddenly there is one new curry comes, but I know it feels very difficult because Anna and Sambar is tightly coupled now. Okay, I can't separate it out. Okay, so what is the problem I'm trying to say is that we have a hardware and software, both are changing, both are evolving over the time. Okay, why the hardware is changing? Because of the issues or because of the low cost things, they are reducing something. Okay, whenever the hardware changes, software will also be affected, and software also keep on changing. Why it is keep on changing? There is a software bugs is there, there are some new enhancement is there. So these are all variables. Okay, so what AutoSAR did is it do a less coupling between the hardware and software. That means if there's a hardware is changed, so there is a less effort is required to integrate. Okay, and if there is software is changed, then also it will be less effort is required to change. So AutoSAR provide something called as plugin thing, so that smooth integration is possible. And also it divided into different modules. Okay, let's say I want to communicate to the external ECU. Okay, there is a communication model will be there. His job is to communicate, and there is one guy will be there whose name is diagnostic. So what is his job? He has to collect the input, like what is the problem in the car. Okay, we will see in the dashboard if there is any error. So these are all things diagnostic model will be combined. So AutoSAR is provided a new plate, meal plate, like a lunch plate, where we can separate the different modules, and it is very easy to play around it. Okay, so this is basically done to avoid the complexity. So that is how the AutoSAR is evolved. For fresher level, I can say that this much is enough. Maybe you can search in a Google and LinkedIn, you will get many source materials, but have this idea and try to understand this concept, because today in the job market, we will call the vanilla skills. Vanilla skills is there just like a C programming, and everybody knows, even the people non-engineering background also know C programming. But to get a niche skills, if you want to be pursuing the embedded domain, so knowing of the different technologies will be added in your, added value to your resume. Yeah, this is what I can say about AutoSAR. Hope it helps.
Okay, okay. So you mean AutoSAR is like a standard which is more likely that configurations, if hardware is changed or if hardware is upgraded or if software is enhanced, then it will be more easier with AutoSAR to go with.
Yeah, AutoSAR is just, if you want to say that, it's a logo game. Like when we are playing the building blocks, we are gaming, right?
Okay.
So it provides a plug-in features so that if the hardware is changed, no need to change the software. There is a one layer, it will be their hardware. We call this MCAL, microcontrollers abstraction layer. That only changes enough.
Okay.
If there is a software changes, there is no need to change the hardware part. Only the software part we can change.
Okay.
So this kind of flexibility will provide so that we are there is a layered structure, like in ISO model we have different 7 layers is there, right? So basically these are all things are evolved from the basic concept only. So that's why you study everything in the point of view like how it is used in a practical way.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's why basic engineerings are important. Yeah.
Okay, so like the example you quoted, OSI model, we have different layers and each layer has different protocols in it. And whenever
Yes.
it is necessary, we change the protocols. It's not necessary to change overall system. It is only that whichever is upgraded or whichever is enhanced, those systems will be just be plug in into this AutoSAR. And you use embedded C programming here.
Yes, embedded C is used here. Okay, but now you can say that most of the things are evolving. Like we are trying to reduce the errors created by coding or typing. So we have most of the time we have automation tools. We have to just figure it out what everything you need, variable name, everything. The code will be generated. But still, you should have a strong C languages because there are some part of the code we cannot. Even AutoSAR can't also fulfill. We have to write a code. So embedded C is the one of the basic thing. Yeah, it is must skill. Yeah.
Okay, Amrut, I also heard about adaptive AutoSAR. So what is basically the difference between AutoSAR and adaptive AutoSAR?
Okay, to put it into a simple way, because many freshers to understand, what is the difference between a AutoSAR, that's a classic AutoSAR, and adaptive AutoSAR. So it is just the difference between a classical movie theater and the OTT platform like Amazon and Netflix. Okay. First, we'll check, in the what happens in the classical movie theater. Like if I want to watch a movie, okay, in the 3 years before, right? What we are doing, we are going to the theaters. So the theater is there in a particular location. The location is fixed, okay, and the show time of the also is fixed. That means when it is the movie starts, the show time is fixed, and which movie it will run, that is also fixed. And also how many numbers of people will enter to the theater, that is also fixed. We can't. Okay, when I go to the Venkatesh theater, 1,000 people can't go. Only the 500 people will go, and everybody will have the ticket. Numbering will be there. And in the theater also there is some partition will be there, like a dress circle, balcony, gold class. Nothing, but everybody will watch the same thing. But the thing is, there's a difference in the comfortable level. Okay. So same thing applies for the AutoSAR. Okay, AutoSAR, the classical AutoSAR or the old AutoSAR, it has a fixed memory location. Everything will be run in the fixed memory location. Though that memory location we can divide into different areas, like a safe area, unsafe area. Okay. Safe area means the safe area, the functions in the safe area will be run in the supervisor mode of the microcontroller. That means, let's say I have a airbag, which is a safety critical. So that feature should be run in the safe area. And I have one more thing like seat up, like seat I can move up and down. Okay, this is not so much critical. So that I will run in non-safe areas. So that is the one thing. And in the classical AutoSAR, everything will be scheduled, fixed scheduling. As in the theaters, like showtime is fixed. All the schedulings are fixed. This is the duration it will run, and what is the program it is done. All the sequence of the programs, like every ticket will have how it is there. So all the sequence are also run in the same way. So this is how the classical AutoSAR it is there. Okay. Now we will go to the Adaptive AutoSAR. Okay, as I said, Adaptive AutoSAR is more likely OTT platform like Netflix or Amazon. Okay, so now you see here. So now if I want to watch a movie, now I no need to go to the any theaters. Okay, I can watch in my home. So what I need an annual subscription. Okay, once I have a subscription, then all the movies will be there. I can decide when I can watch the movie. I can pause the movie also. Okay, so there is no fixed location. That means it's in a virtual location. The Adaptive AutoSAR is now the next emerging technology. Okay, we heard about the autonomous driving. Okay, passengerless car. Everything will be done automatically because there are a lot of input.
Driverless
so
car.
This for driverless car. So for that driverless car, the Adaptive AutoSAR is used. So here, what it will do? Here there is no fixed pattern. Like there is a application. The software can be changed at any time, and it can be run any time. Okay, and there is no fixed location. Okay, to summarize, okay, this is just an example, like how the AutoSAR. I mean, how the example wise, like what is the difference between a classical AutoSAR and Adaptive AutoSAR. But if I want to speak technically, okay, what is the difference? So the classical AutoSAR basically used the microcontrollers. Okay, it has a dedicated thing to do. If I want to do any critical things, then I will use the classical AutoSAR. And Adaptive AutoSAR is used basically a microprocessor. Why microprocessor? Because now we are getting more data. More data means we have the speed of the controller should be faster. So that's why the microprocessor is basically used in the Adaptive AutoSAR. And also in the classical AutoSAR, we use the CAN protocol. The CAN is basic communication, which is invented by Bosch experts only. So here it's basically when the CAN is there in the center of the classical AutoSAR, it's basically event driven, that whenever you got us inputs, then we will respond. That is the basic architecture of the classical AutoSAR. In Adaptive AutoSAR, it is an Ethernet. Okay, Ethernet means there is a client server model. There will be many clients, but only one server. Okay, so because of these features, now car become more smarter. If any car is designed with a classical AutoSAR, if there is any software issue, he has to take to the garage. Okay, but in case of Adaptive AutoSAR, no need to go to garage. Okay, just in the cloud only, the software will be updated. Okay, that is called as over-the-air software update. That is possible in the Adaptive AutoSAR. So basically, in a classical AutoSAR, we use the C programming language. Now we are here. We are using C++, Linux things. So that's why if you want to learn more about this, learn C++ also in your career, and Linux also, because these are all the things we should to know. And also the AI, I mean IoT things, how to connect with that things also will help you for the Adaptive AutoSAR. Yeah, this is the in short difference.
Okay. So you also interview a lot of freshers or a lot of job, anyone who wants to take up job in Bosch, and you have interviewed. I heard that some 100+ interviews you have already taken. So what do you expect for a fresher in embedded systems? If one has to take up the career, then what do you expect from him?
Yeah, the thing is, first thing is basic level. Okay, in terms of words, if I say that he should be passionately curious, like he should be he is interested to know the things. Okay, he should ask the more questions. These are the background thing. Okay, so what I'm looking into is that I am involved in his academic project. Like in the academic project, how much he understood and how much he contributed, and what are the difficult things he has faced. So in detail, like I don't have any set of questions. It depends on the project execution. So the thing what I'm looking is that how much deeply he involved and what are the difficulty he faced, okay, and how he come out. So that is what we are looking at. So if when I say any puzzles, okay, I don't expecting a perfect answer. What I'm looking is that how much he involved in that, and how much what you can say that how much he fight for that. To even if you don't provide solution, that's fine. Okay, there is fighting spirit should be there. So that is one thing. That is the most important quality I would say. And other than that, so he should be honest. Okay, it is okay, like even many things I also don't know, so it is okay to say I don't know. Okay, but if you say tell some, I have seen some candidate, even if they don't know answer, they will tell so many things. So that is not it won't give a good impression. If you are not honest with yourself, with whom you will honest, that is what the interviewer will think. But interview is just in a preparation, like even if you attend a 3 or 4, you will fail it. Okay, but if you have to prepare for the career, so what I try to focus is that just learn for yourself. Okay, make a group collaboration team and learn from every day, even tiny things you start learning, and try to enjoy this thing. Okay? That is what I can say.
Okay, so what about job opportunities in this particular area, embedded?
Yeah, I feel that job market are there. Okay, but the thing is, there are a lot of resumes are there. Okay, as I mentioned, the vanilla skills, the niche skills. Okay, so the vanilla skills, it's very difficult, like to how to identify the candidate from the normal skills. Okay, that's why what I would say is that whenever you're free time, okay, try to do some courses. Okay, today, there is a lot of platforms are there where you can make a courses.
Online platforms.
Just explore, online platforms. Search which are all the courses are there. Try to make the certification and add those things in your resume, so that you will get attention. Then later, you can just attend the interview and prepare. And whenever if you don't know something, and come back to home and try to just find that answer. Okay, it's a learning is a lifelong journey. Okay, and never give up hope. Okay, we will get the job, don't worry.
Okay. So what kind of certifications are required in embedded? Do we have any certifications to be done?
No, what I said is that certification and all these things are just to make a market. Okay, I want to out of crowd, I just highlighting my resume. Okay, today I can claim that I know German language, but Germans won't believe unless I speak and I will talk to them directly.
Okay.
Similarly, I don't believe in a certificate and everything. I said that you are an expert in certain thing. Good. So how can you share your knowledge to others? What you know, how much depth you will know. So that thing we are checking it. That is what I would say. Certification is just for your resume, but just like a marks are good, but it is just for your entry level. Once you've done it, nobody in the organization will ask whether you're topper or nobody will ask. Okay, at the time only they will say that how much you are cooperative within the team, and how much effectively you will share the knowledge, and how much you effectively execute the task. This is how company will look at, how manager will look into it. That I can say. Yeah.
Okay. One more question, like you are from electronics background, and if I ask you that which domain will give you more package in terms of salary, which domain one should take up so that he gets more package in the long run, what would be your answer?
Okay, money is everywhere. Okay, my son, 4 years old, he watching a YouTuber. His name is Ryan. He's a 8-year kid. So I think in 2009, this 8-year boy has earned 26 million euro. Okay, that means like it's around 3 crores. Okay. The point is that the money we can earn in many ways. Okay, but the thing is, whether are you happy with it? Okay, that is the question I'm trying to say. Yeah, we all paid. We need to pay the bills. We have paid for education. We need the money. But the interesting part is that we have to focus on how to improve ourselves day by day. Okay, what is my contribution? Whether I'm only celebrating birthday or I'm getting matured in technical on personal side. So these things we should ask. So I believe that you focus on your improving yourself knowledge, then automatically money will come. There are a lot of skills are there in our automotive domain. We are not getting resources, to be honest. Like we are searching candidate, who are expert. We need a functional safety and auto, but people want just a job, money. But I mean, they don't want how much I know it's my view, it's not exactly correct. Okay, just I'm saying that by seeing some trends, this is my perception. Like, money will come, don't worry. There are money is everywhere, but focus on the skills. Okay, and don't prepare yourself for the just for the sake of money. We should have a, at the end of the day, if you are not happy, if you are not peaceful, what is the use of money? Okay. That is what I would say.
Okay. I just asked you like a comparison, like your electronics background, and you said that embedded is one a way where you can take up a job, and VLSI is one domain where you can take up a job. So I just asked you like a comparison whether we will be getting enough salary in embedded domain, or can you compete with the salaries what the IT people take in software?
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, actually, there are some newest technologies. I am also hearing that they are paying well. Okay. But now actually the biggest crisis what we are seeing is that most of these silicon chips are we are not getting, because due to the COVID situation, there are a lot of disruption happen in the industry level. Okay. In India also, many investments are doing like to make a VLS and everything, and they are paid very highly compared to embedded system. VLSI guys are paid very heavily. But what I say that see, money generally, we all know, like when we compare ourselves with others, the all problems will start. Okay, just enjoy your life. Don't compare yourself with others. If you want to compare with anybody, I would like to always say that if I will compare with my 4 years son, how he is happy, how he is playing. Okay, so money is important, but at the end of the day, if I will pay you whole money, and at the time you don't get time to invest time in the family, or you won't get time to enjoy your life, family life, then what is the point? So just think, if money also comes at the same time, there will be a less time for you to enjoy. So try to find where it will connect with your passion. That I would say that, because if I ask that, who is the richest person in Gadag, I would say none other than our any classmates. It's my maths teacher, late BJ Anigeri sir. So he didn't do anything. He didn't marry a great person. What he did is he took his salary and he educated this village students, and he converted his house into a boarding school. And he not did for 1 month or 1 year. He did for entire lifetime. Okay.
That's right.
So the richness is generally measured, how much you give to the society rather than what you give it. Okay. Because even my friend, we will put a post, see, I am in a scissor, I'm in a car, but nobody will bothers anybody. We all know that. Okay. Only we will care the people who done something to society. So you grow in that. I mean, what I would like to go in that way. I know it's very difficult, but at least we'll take a little step to do something. Yeah.
Fine. Okay, so it means job opportunities are there in embedded domain as well as in VLSI domain, and there is a competitive salary in these domains as well. Okay. And one more thing, Amrut, like you are into this domain, and if any freshers want to take up this as their career, and will you be helping them, or will you be guiding them in this aspect? Will you train them in this aspect?
Yeah, as alumni, it's my duty. Okay. But mentoring is also my hobby. Okay. But I will take, the topic, how I can, I will also help them, but let's see, let's find the forum, first let them decide like who are all interested, and let them make some learning circle. So if possible, I also will join virtually or somewhere, I can guide them. What little experience I have, I will happy to share. I also enjoy that, because even I have to learn many things from the new freshers, because we also lost to know many things. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Amrut. Thank you for joining us and sharing your knowledge on embedded and automotive sector. I hope this video will benefit many of the freshers who want to take up the career as embedded system engineer. Thanks once again, Amrut.
Yeah, thanks, Adesh. It's really good because your idea to collaborate with others. It not only help the students, even it will help us also, because we will get to know about who our colleague networks and everything. So keep doing it. So yeah, we will there support
Okay,
what
okay.
little we can do.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you, Nimrod. Thank you. Bye.